How's it going, everyone? I hope all of you are having a wonderful day so far. Just want to hop on in real quick and talk about a certain topic that I had spoken with one of my friends. So we were originally talking, and she's basically going through some different changes, a new area, looking for a new job, just graduated, and a bunch of other things of that nature. And she was getting really frustrated with, the movement and the progress that she has made or has not made within her life revolved around, different subjects. And I wanted to hop on here and talk about the topic of, progression and growth and things of that nature. Obviously as humans, a very big human need is growth, right? Growth. If we're not growing as humans in some form of capacity in our lives, we often feel, depressed or feel down on ourselves, or feel like not good enough. And it's honestly, truly, it's just a very boring life. And that's me personally. If I don't feel like I'm growing towards something in some form of aspect of my life, I'm thoroughly bored, and it just sucks. In my opinion, if you're not growing, you're dying. And so she was at a point where, she's going through these changes. She just graduated, she's looking for a job, just got out of a relationship, moved to a new area, and a lot of just different things are changing in her life, and she feels like she's just taking steps back. There's nothing for progress. She's applying jobs, not getting anything back, not even getting interviews, just a lot of different things that are going on. And so, she basically hopped on a call with me, just kind of vented, with me for about 30 minutes, talked about different things, and, basically kind of helped her, coach her through the process of, kind of just look at what's going on in her life in a different way. And I want to do that for you guys today. I definitely know that we're all going through different changes. We all want something more. We're all looking for that next chapter in life in some form of aspect. And I know that it's sometimes a little frustrating when we're trying to achieve these different things and we can't quite grab them. We can't quite get there. And I wanted to hop on here and basically talk about a few tips, some ideas that I spoke with her, and some things that I wrote down here on my phone that I think would really help all of us reshape our the way that we think in terms of these types of events. So first and foremost, as Tony Robbins said, I'm a huge Tony Robbins fan, as most of you guys know. As Tony Robbins says, we overestimate what we can do in a year and underestimate what we can do in a lifetime. As humans, we're in today's day and age, we're very much of a need of, we need things now, we want things now, it needs to happen now, especially with the informational age, with technology. We really want things to happen right here, right now. And we're unfortunately and fortunately given that opportunity, we can have things happen really quickly. I can literally go on my app right now and order Chipotle, or order Starbucks, or text someone, or call someone, or schedule an event, or buy this, buy that, or whatever it is. We're in an informational age where we can quickly get to things and information and data and buy things and do things very quickly. And unfortunately, that has allowed us to become very impatient in society. We are very impatient with everything that happens. And because of this, within a year's time, within a month's time, a week's time, we try to set these big goals that we can't quite accomplish. They're just unrealistic. We can't get there. We haven't put in the right work. We haven't talked to the right people. We haven't set the right times, the right schedule, calendars, whatever it may be. And then many times we overestimate what we can accomplish within a year. And I think that if you flip it and reshape your mind and, think about not just what's happening now, but what can happen 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and really think big picture and keep that big picture mindset within your head, it definitely will help you, create that patience, to help you get to where you want to be, right? Patience is everything, and I talk about it every time. Obviously in the day-to-day style, you should be, working hard and focusing on those little things, but in the big picture, you have to remain patient. Otherwise, you're just going to drive yourself crazy when you don't get the results that you want. So do not overestimate what you can do in a year. Take some step backs, and remember, don't underestimate what you can do in your life. All right, life is short, but at the same time, a lot of us do have many years ahead of us, and if you don't, that's fine. Okay, it's not always about the time, it's more about the mindset, the time frame, or it's always about the mindset. What are you focusing on? How are you approaching the situation? And that will help reshape your progress towards anything. So that was the first thing. The second thing that I wanted to talk about here.
That's an awesome camera.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Or just in general.
It's all awesome.
Yes, it is.
I appreciate it.
You.
Thank you. So the other thing I wanted to talk about was when we were talking, I gave her an analogy, okay? And just kind of randomly came to me, and I absolutely loved it, and I really, really wanted to share it with you guys. I gave her the analogy of a tree, all right? Really random thing, there's trees everywhere, whatever. But I gave her the idea that a tree takes a long time to grow. From the moment it's planted in the ground as a seed until 20, 30, 50, 100 years, over 100 years old, these trees grow, but it takes a very, very long time. And I explained to her that the fact that the growth of a tree takes a long time, okay? It takes years and years and years and years of growth, and there's a lot of factors going involved. And we as humans are the same thing. We cannot expect to go from a seed to something magnificent in a night. It just doesn't work like that. There is a timeline to everything, which goes back to patience. Don't overestimate what you can do in a year, and don't underestimate what you can do in a lifetime. Same thing with a tree. Don't overestimate what you can do within a short amount of time, all right? Comes back to patience, right? And so I explained to her, I was like, look, a tree takes a long time to develop and growth, but more importantly, which is the part that I really want to emphasize here, is not the amount of time it takes for that tree to grow, but the factors that are around it that either allow it or don't allow it to grow. Let me explain. A tree, in order to grow, obviously needs sunlight, needs water, air, blah, blah, blah. It needs all those things to create photosynthesis and grow and all that stuff like that, right? Well, one thing that I was explaining to her, I was like, look, the tree does not control how much water or rain it gets. It does not control how much sunlight it gets. It does not control how much air it gets. It just takes what it gets, all right? It takes the card that it's dealt, and it plays, and it goes, and it goes, and it goes, and it just reacts and is proactive, okay? The only thing that the tree controls is the direction in which it grows, and it grows toward the directions of its resources. And as humans, we need to do the same thing, okay? We cannot focus on external events, different things that are happening, different people, different jobs, situations that we're put in that are unfortunate. We have to focus on what we can control, and I always talk about this in every one of my videos. Focus on what you can control, okay? Things that you cannot control, you should not worry about, okay? Same thing with the analogy of the tree. The tree does not care. It does not worry. Obviously, it's not a thinking, living, existing organism, but it does not worry about the water, the air, or the sunlight. It just, whatever it gets, it takes in full advantage of, and it develops into something bigger, and it takes that time, and it's patient, and it grows into something very larger. I know that's a lot of information. It's a crazy analogy, but it's true. Take a step back and realize that you cannot control everything around you, okay? But you can always control how you react to things, and that is the most important thing with this. And so I told her, I was like, look, you're trying to do all these things and focus on all these little things and control this and control that. Just live your life controlling what you can control, all right? Be proactive of everything and be patient. Step back a little bit, okay? Be like the tree, all right? Have a big long-term picture and take day-by-day action, and everything will fall into place, and you will get to where you want to be in time, I promise, all right? Just be patient. And then the other thing I talked about, which was, I think, probably my absolute favorite thing, was the idea of what is your measuring tool, okay? And so going back to our conversation about, how much time it takes to grow, finding results at a certain time frame, comparing yourself to others, those things where it's all measurable stuff in our minds. And we all have tools and measurements that we use to figure out, are we being successful, are we not, are we taking steps back, are we taking steps forward, whatever it may be. And I explained to her, I said, you need to change your measuring tool. And what I said is, you're trying to measure where you're at in life and where you want to go with a yardstick when you should be measuring it with a ruler, or even smaller, a centimeter, a millimeter, an inch, whatever it is. And it kind of puzzled her and kind of made her sit back and like, what do you mean by that? And I'm like, well, the thing is that I would never take the Titanic, for instance, and try to measure it with a ruler. That would suck. All right, it'd take a long time, I'd be counting forever, and it'd probably be very, very inaccurate because I'm using something that's this big to measure something that's huge. It was one of the biggest ships once upon a time, right? And I would never try to measure an ant with a yardstick. It wouldn't make any sense, okay? And so as humans, you've got to create your own measuring tool that's relative to where you're at, right? So what I said to her, I said, look, you're trying to measure where you're at, where you're going, where you want to be with something that's way bigger than what you need to be measuring with. Downsize your measuring tool. And it goes back to the rules that you give yourself in life. What rules are you giving yourself in life? As humans, when we have goals, the only way we feel accomplished and satisfied with that goal is if we have met the rules that we associated with it. What do I mean by that? Okay, someone who wants to do well in school, that can mean two different things, all right? For me, that was A's and B's, honor rolls. That was me well in school. For other students, if they weren't straight A's, oh my gosh, they would throw the biggest fit, it'd be the worst day of their life, they'd have a meltdown. But that is the measurement that they used for their success. That's not the measurement that I used. And so you've got to change what tool you are measuring with and the rules that you are giving yourself. And a lot of times we're too hard on ourselves. We give each other or ourselves too big of rules. And like it goes back to overestimating what you can do in a year. The rules just don't make any sense, all right? Sometimes you gotta take a step back and look at the smaller pieces, all right? You can't look at the whole building or the whole wall until you got the bricks where they need to be, all right? Downsize your scope, okay? Downsize your measuring tool, okay? Take the rules that you have, realign them, make them more acceptable to yourself in terms of, being able to accomplish it, and just put yourself in a position to actually be successful in the long term, okay? This is all big picture thinking, guys. And so those are the ideas that I spoke to her about, focus on the big picture, okay? Take it day in and day out. You cannot control everything else that's going around you. You can only control what's going on with your life, okay? And change the measuring tool, okay? These are all very important topics. I know it's a lot of information all at once, okay? And I know I'm talking fast, I speak fast, but I think if you take these ideas and take these tools and apply them to everything that's going on in your life that revolves anything around growth, or becoming successful or something or achieving something, you're going to be definitely a lot more satisfied, a lot more happier. I know that I'm definitely someone who needs to work on this, and another reason why I make these videos is so that I can practice, right? Because I want I want it now, my way, and everything like that. And anybody who knows me knows that I'm a very particular person, and I sometimes get frustrated. I get frustrated a lot when things don't go my way, and not in a selfish standpoint, but I know what I want, and I want it now, and I got big goals. But we have to step back sometimes and realize that the bigger picture is what needs to be focused on. I do talk about the smaller picture is important. The day in, day out stuff is important. But if you're losing track of the bigger picture, you're going to get very frustrated, and you're going to find yourself failing a lot and being unsatisfied with your life, okay? So take a step back, breathe, realign everything that's going on in your life, okay? Put yourself in the mindset of the tree, change your measuring tool, and I promise you, everything else will fall into place. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know it was a little long, a lot of information. If you liked it, please hit like at the bottom. If you have not yet, please hit subscribe, okay? Definitely my goal for this last fourth quarter and then going into 2020 is to produce a lot more videos. It's been a crazy year for me. No excuses though. So I hope you guys like the content. Share it with someone else who needs help, and I will see you guys in the next video. Have a wonderful weekend.